Roy on the extreme outside, and Highland Sky. The field is in the stretch. Marzo is still there. Marzo's in front. Then Dot Matrix, Channel Maker, Sadler's Joy coming on the outside, and Cross Border's in between horses. Here's Sadler's Joy, Cross Border in tight there. Sadler's Joy in front, Cross Border in second. Sadler's Joy got there.
Welcome back to one more Breeders' Cup preview here on Racing Rundown. Today we're going to be getting into the Grade 1 Joe Hirsch Turf Classic at Belmont Park, a 1.5 miles on the Belmont Park turf course. 7 horses go to the post for this race, and we're going to get into this. And it's the typical fun American older male turf division where the same horses have conceivably run every race with each other for the last 3 or 4 years. So we'll get into this because this may be the last time that we get a race like this with these horses. So we'll kick things off with this video with getting into number 1, Sadler's Joy. His typical consistent self throughout his career has been running a lot of good races, lots of good seconds and thirds, mixed in there with some nice wins in graded and grade 1 company. Did run third in this race last year. Also is a winner of 1 race this year, even though he was disqualified. He finished first in the Bowling Green, but was taken down with a questionable disqualification. We're not going to get into that on here. But looking at him, I've never really consistently been able to trust him in any of these races. He's definitely an underneath play. I would not make a triple in this race without including him, but I like horses in here more so than I like Sadler's Joy. Getting into the second horse, Masterpiece, for Chad Brown, shipping up from Chile. And you look at his charts, and he's definitely a bit of a wild card horse. I don't really think there's anything indicating from that chart that he's going to come here. As inconsistent and as weak as this older male turf division is, I really don't think there's a way that Masterpiece comes up here from Chile and is able to win a race. Even a grade 1 race against this company, I don't think that there's a way that he's going to win this race. So pass for me, too unproven, too many questions. Number 3 is Channel Maker, coming out of a win in the Sword Dancer. Channel Maker, 2 things make him dangerous: a soft turf course and lone lead. And he's definitely going to have one of those things. He's going to get a lone lead in here. There's not really much speed. I don't think Rockemperor, who isn't a deep closer like a lot of the other horses in this race, but isn't also a speed horse, is going to go with him. Therefore, I think Channel Maker is going to have a lone lead in this race. So for that reason, I think he's dangerous. Looking at the weather in the New York area, it's supposed to rain some today. Not really sure how much that would affect the turf course tomorrow, so I don't think it's going to be a soft turf course. But if you really like the last race, which he ran, which was a very good race on his part, obviously he did have a lot of things go his way. He did have the lone lead in that race, but I think that if you really like that race, if you like that he's got the lone speed in here, and you think he can carry it the 1.5 miles again, then go for it. But I don't really. He's never been the type of horse to consistently run back-to-back races like that. That was not his first Grade 1 win, but his first Grade 1 win since last May at Belmont. But that did come at Belmont in the Man of War, so he does have a history of running it well at Belmont Park. Also did win this race in 2018. It is worth mentioning, but Channel Maker's never put together back-to-back great efforts like that. So that's something that does go against him. Moving on to number 4, Rockemperor. He's coming out of a 3rd place finish in the Turf Classic at Churchill Downs. Race before that was second behind Instilled Regard in the Manhattan, and before that, his first start of the year, he was second in the Charlie Whittingham at Santa Anita, but was disqualified due to interference from second to third. So he does have 3 really good second place finishes, and it is worth mentioning United, who did beat him in that race across the wire, has come back to win a Grade 2. Actually, I should say multiple Grade 2 races, but most recently won the John Henry Turf last weekend. So definitely, we know that United has really good form, and we know that there's strong form coming out of that race. So Rockemperor definitely looks really good in here, and I think Rockemperor is the horse in here. As much as I gave a case for Channel Maker, I think Rockemperor is just the most talented. He was 3rd in the Muniz Memorial earlier this year, also behind Factor This. Factor This has had a really consistently good year. He will be running in the race that used to be called the Dixie Stakes, but is now called the Dinner Party at Pimlico. That's race 6, and that's running about 2 hours and change before this race is. So if Factor This runs a really big winning effort in the dinner plate, then you can definitely take that as another reason why to be really high on this horse right here. And he also, factor this, also did beat him in the Churchill Downs Turf Classic. So lots of good things to say about Rockemperor. I think he's just the most talented horse in this race. I really don't think there's another way to put it. He's just more talented than everyone else here. Moving on to the next horse is Cross Border, who was put up in that Bowling Green. Prior to that was a winner of the Lubash, also at Saratoga, and did run second behind Channelmaker in that Sword Dancer. I think that he's a horse that you can definitely use underneath. He's been running well recently. Going back to earlier this year, was second in Grade 3 at Gulfstream. Like I mentioned, the Lubash, second in the Bowling Green, even though he was put up due to that disqualification, and second in that Sword Dancer. Was fifth in the Manhattan, but I don't really think that that's very discouraging. Does have some good runs at Belmont Park. No wins, but 2 seconds in Allowance Company. And like I mentioned, he did run fifth in the Manhattan, was also fifth in Turf Classic. Those are not great runs, but has been able to get over the Belmont surface, which I think is important for him. I think he's a use underneath here. I don't think he's one that you would want to pick against a Rockemperor or a Channelmaker. Number 6 is Lucario, shipping in from Germany. Really weird to see, really interesting to see a horse shipping in here from Germany. Not something you see very often in the United States, but he is here, so we will talk about him. I think he's a little bit unproven. He wasn't really running the greatest efforts over in Germany. He was 7th most recently, albeit off a pretty long layoff, but that being mentioned, I just don't really see a reason that I can justify taking him in a race where I don't really know where he's going to stack up here. I'd rather go with a more sure bet here. But if you like that he was a winner of a Group 1 in Germany at 3 in Hamburg, then you can justify that. But I don't really trust this horse enough to justify picking him on top. And getting to the final horse in here, Highland Sky, a horse who's been all over the place. Very similar to Channelmaker Sadler's Joy, another example of a horse like that. This horse was second in the Bowling Green. He was third, like I mentioned, but was put up due to that disqualification. And that so far has been his most recent effort. He's going to be coming in here off a bit of a layoff. Prior to that, some of his starts, he was 8th in the Sunshine Forever, 6th in the Japan Turf Cup at Laurel, was a black type winner at Saratoga last year, but just looking at his runs in graded stakes company, there's not really much to really behold here. So Highland Sky, I don't think he's a use in here. I think he's just a pass up here. And getting into the picks for this race, I did mention that I was going to take Rockemperor on top here, and I am going to stick by that. For second, I will use Channelmaker. I do think he's going to be able to stick around due to the fact that he will have a pretty easy lead up on the front end, lone lead, and I think he will be able to carry that. I just think the talent will carry Rockemperor past Channelmaker. And for third, I will use Cross Border. Like I mentioned already, does run super well. Would not be surprised if he ran second and flip that order of him and Channelmaker, but I'm going to set it in stone of Rockemperor, Channelmaker, and Cross Border. Just for a ha-ha's fourth pick, I'll throw Sadler's Joy up there. I don't like the 2 shippers in here just because I don't really have any indication of how they would run. But that's it for this video. We will see you next time. Good luck this weekend if you do play any of the races wherever you play in this country, and we will see you next time.